why start now, right? There's a lot of businesses probably that are just hunkering down, but you start to say, why start improving or why start driving change during a pandemic? So as you point out, new services are one of those things that say, yeah, start now. The other is that there wasn't really a lot of incentive when things were at least working and stable. Not a lot of incentive to go change a bunch of things, make some
Yeah.
investments, and reimagine processes. But just because of demand or changing assumptions, many of those processes have broken. So it's no longer a choice between do I invest to get better. It's you have to invest to just get back to where you were in terms of service or to meet very new needs in the constituency.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think the reality of the situation is there's a much different perspective now. I think the overall level of um, I don't want to use the word dissatisfaction, but I think I have to. The level of dissatisfaction with the government response and the services. So we look at unemployment insurance and we look at other elements of where citizens expect support from the government. I think this dissatisfaction level is at a point where it was different again 6 months or a year ago. So why start improving now? You've kind of got carte blanche at this point to say we're going to try new things. As a jurisdiction, we have to serve our citizens. We know there's competing demands, and so we're going to start to look at improvement now because everybody's already kind of buzzing, and we have that license to do that now. I also feel like everything's non-traditional at this moment, so it's a perfect time. And I think we're also being driven into an environment where we really do need to look at how we can do things more efficiently and effectively. So improving process is not a matter of saying how do we improve for increased efficiency or even just better service or whatever. It's a necessity because of all these new needs being thrust on jurisdictions. So I feel like it's again being kind of thrust upon the jurisdictions and companies as well, that they have to start thinking about how to improve and do things more efficiently.
Yeah, and I think that the efficiency becomes an important point. The dissatisfaction is of course real, and it really doesn't matter if it's fair or not. It's just that it's there,
Yeah.
and the reason is there's a mismatch between service and demand, not just in volume but in type. And then you couple that with the fact that one of the things we know for sure is that tax revenues will be down, that we will have to make some tough choices. And so, looking to find efficiencies in different ways to shift resources to be able to meet those new demands while not being able to hire large amounts of resources to do so becomes part of it as well. And any place that you can find efficiency in your processes, whether it's through process improvement or technology adoption, or reimagining what's delivered, in any of those cases, you then are able to reinvest those resources into those new needs.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. You know, we see that, you know, just trying to look at the budget constraints that are coming, looking at the opportunity to do new things because of the general perspective of the public in terms of these services. It really is enabling to me a more direct view of the portfolio and saying, what do we need to change? Whereas, to your point, when things were working, it's a different perspective. And I think there's a different mindset and a different eagerness to really mix things up. So I agree with you. Multiple drivers pushing us here.
Yep, and I think whether we feel we need to pivot hard or adjust, I think the only strategy that has a high likelihood of failure is just waiting for things to return to normal,
Yeah.
because there will be, if nothing else, there is a long enough duration in where things aren't going to be normal that our processes really are just not going to survive that. And many things probably aren't going to return to normal. And there's an opportunity to that dissatisfaction and that willingness on citizens' part to change and accept processes in a different way. There's an opportunity to not just return to normal, but return to better. And
Yeah.
and I think we have to grab that opportunity as right now things are broken anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do agree with you because I know that we're seeing that states are getting back, starting to try and get business back going again, loosen restrictions. But we really don't. Nobody has a crystal ball as to what the summer and the fall is going to hold, or even into the winter. And so, to your point, we know what's happened over the past 3 months, and we know what the impacts have been. But there really is no way to understand exactly what's going to happen in the future. So to sit stagnant is just not an option, to your point. Just and states have not been, the jurisdictions have been working around the clock to meet new demands and respond, as we all learned throughout this whole process in this pandemic. But it has to continue. And I think that's one of the things that I've started to come to terms with in the past couple of weeks, which is there's really no good playbook for this exact situation. We are constantly learning more. Nobody has all the answers. And so being able to your point, reserve some resources by being more efficient and looking at what we can change and what we can improve now, not just the things that we're being forced to look at, but also thinking ahead and just being ready, almost in a sense, having reserve of resource and reserve for the deficits that we know are coming, if they're not already here, is really what jurisdictions are doing right now.